That's your cue.
All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, folks. We will call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood.
Present.
Robert Hebert.
Here.
Charles Hostek.
Here.
Dana Isabello. Here. James Coffey.
Here.
And Catherine Coolidge.
Perfect. Resolution 46, approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Resolved that the minutes of January 6 and 13, 2022 be approved and the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Bostic, any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. At this time, we would invite members of the public to come to the podium if they would like to speak to the board and provide comment.
Okay. My name is Larry Eber, live at 634 Tom Miller Road. I think you all know where I live. So anyway, I have concerns about the Development Corporation, TDC, putting this 60,000 square foot warehouse 75 feet away from me. They sent out a letter saying that they were gonna have a meeting on this thing. I was out of town at that time, so I missed the meeting, so I came in and went to the planning guy, I talked to the planning guy department, I think it was Travis.
Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor.
Yep.
So I talked to him about it, and he said, well, we had a meeting on it. He said, like, if you want to look at the plans, you can look at the plans. So he ripped out the plans for me and showed me the plans, what they look like. And so they're putting this place probably 150 feet off the road, about halfway up my property line and 75 feet or 90 feet over. But this thing is going to be like 30 feet in the air. I went over to talk to Dave Champagne about it. Trying to say, well, because Trevor kind of said, well, this is a done deal, this is kind of, it's in process and stuff, because they already bought Mr. Marr's house and tore that down the other day. So I talked to Dave about it, and he just said that I wanted him to push it back. I said, can't you push it further back, Dave? Dave said, no, I can't push it further back because there's wetlands back there, and we can't get into wetlands. Plus, he says, I want to buy land all the way to the turnpike behind it. So that's his process and stuff. So I said, well, I don't know, maybe I gotta start looking to sell my house or something like that. I said, but there's nothing out there. He says, well, I'll tell you what, if you want to sell it, give me first crack at it, okay? Well, that's not really what I want to do. I mean, I've been here since 2012, right? But I don't understand how they voted to put this 60,000 square foot warehouse. They had one meeting. They had a meeting in November, which was a closed door meeting, I guess. That's what they told me. That's exactly what, when I called here, they said nobody could go to the first meeting in November. It wasn't put out.
I can confirm that the town board doesn't have.
Yeah,
town board
I didn't get any notification on it.
Yeah.
I didn't get notification on the meeting in November. I did the one in January, I did get notification, I didn't make that one. I said, and when I was in there, I said, there's gonna be more meetings about this? And he goes, yeah, there should be more meetings of it. And then he told me there's not gonna be any more meetings. It's kind of like over, no meetings on it. So I couldn't figure that out. But, I mean, I asked Dave what type of business is gonna be there, he said, I don't know. He said, I'm talking with somebody, but he wouldn't let me know. What are they, what's the hours gonna be? I don't know. So he thinks it's gonna be like a maybe one shift operation or something. He really didn't share anything with me at all, so. So I don't know, I know the town looks, I mean, I'm not against progress at all. I mean, you gotta build things, you gotta do things, but to drop it on top of a residential area, to just say, well, okay, you can put that there because it was zoned industrial. I mean, this isn't a barber shop going there or a small business, this is a 60,000 square foot warehouse you put there, right? So, I think maybe there could have been more looking into it to say, is this yeah, we want you to put this warehouse here, but it's really not a good fit for this particular situation. There's houses across, I'm here, Barbara's on the other side, she's got some apartments here, I guess, and she lives in some of them, is that correct, Barb?
Because our personal.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're all affected in this area, but it's really a residential area, and you're dropping this 60,000 square foot warehouse on top of us, 75 feet away. So what does it do to the property values? I don't know. Nobody can tell me. They all say, well, it depends on the buyer, it depends on the buyer. Well, yeah, I suppose it does depend on the buyer, if somebody wants to buy it when you're next to something like that. I mean, who knows who's gonna be in this thing? I don't know what kind of operation. I mean, they did push the setback away from the property lines already, but that's all well and good, I guess. So, anyway, I don't know, I mean, I know in a lot of cases, the town probably is giving them a tax break for building this building. A lot of times they give you 5 years on it without paying taxes because you're putting this up. But sometimes is it really about the bottom line, is the dollar bottom line, what you're gonna make on this warehouse building worth disrupting your a residential area to put this thing up? I don't know. I don't know if it's all done yet, if all the permits have been, if all the permits have been issued and it's got the green light to go with this thing. I mean, they tore down the house 2-3 days ago or whatever. But I figured I'd come to the board meeting. I mean, I don't know if I can make a difference, but I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. I mean, I just can't believe that somebody in the town doesn't look at the thing, look at the whole situation and say, this is not right. I know we wanna build it. I mean, Dave said to me, he says, did you look at the town of Plattsburgh's plan for the Tom Miller Road? I said, no, I haven't looked at it. He said, look at it. He said, you'll be surprised what they plan on doing with the Tom Miller Road. He said, well, they're not gonna take your house over. Didn't say they wouldn't. But situations like this, where they drop these buildings next to these residential areas, what happens to your property value? And first you know, the people go, there goes my property value, so the company buys it, first you know, they own that piece of land. Then you drop another building somewhere else and they're gonna own that piece of land. And they keep on doing that, yeah, to do that, but I don't know what the town's thinking. I mean, I know they get, progress is fine. I'm totally for it. But a little common sense has gotta go into where you put these things. This is not the top spot to put this. And it's probably over in Millwood right now, so I'm probably gonna have to live with it. And I don't know.
Larry,
I'm not happy.
I know you're not happy, Larry, and these sessions of the board, there are an interaction. I'd be welcome to sit with you and have a conversation, but I do want to just touch on a couple of different things just to provide some fact. The property that you're speaking of previous to when you owned the property was also zoned industrial, so it didn't change, abutting up to your property. So it's, I'm just want to provide some clarity on that.
When I first bought the house, Brian Pitlack was the owner of the orchard there.
Sure.
So then, when I talked to Trevor about it, he said, yeah, when Brian asked us to zone that industrial, he said, so he could obviously probably get more money for it, because they were asking crazy prices for a 1 acre lot, was like $79,000 and $97,000. So, I mean, TDC bought it for $100,000, but both lots.
But Larry, like I said before though, I'm not gonna go back and forth. I'd be happy to meet with you. I just want to touch on a couple of different things real quickly is, as I said from that, but the other part to it is you had noted, the town of Plattsburgh itself doesn't give tax breaks. We're not in that position. The Clinton County IDA may be in that position. But just for clarity though, because when we speak of progress with the town, again, we're not the developer. Part of the reason that the planning board or the zoning board of appeals, depending on, how developments occur, have citizens at large that are actively involved in the planning and process and the review of that. Every individual that there is a project who does receive the 500-foot, notice. I can confidently say, and I can sincerely empathize with your frustration. I said, but the town board will continue to always outreach and provide the best information possible to give you notification of what's happening within that scope of work. Unfortunately, there always is something that abuts up to another area. Agriculture is always going to abut up to a certain area. Industrial is always going to abut up to another part of the town. Commercial is always going to abut up to some other part of, you know, the area of the town. Unfortunately, in the industrial zone, where this is, you know, we have another housing unit right in the back. If you stand in their parking lot, you can look to a large, you know, fabrication wall right in that area. And then on this corner, we had another industrial user that developed, I think, in 2019. So
Yeah,
they're
talking
real.
about these guys over here, the NCCS.
Yep, but that's what I'm saying, that scope, the Banker Road in particular, you can be here at about 3:30, and you'll see the industrial traffic and impacts and stuff like that. So I would invite you, I'd be happy to sit down with you and have some conversations, and, you know, if we're missing a beat, I wanna know that so we can better communicate. But that's really the standard. The town board isn't in a position to prevent this project from moving forward.
Who is in position?
No one. The project is moving forward.
Right, that's what I'm saying, it's gonna happen,
Correct.
right, there's nothing you can do to stop it, right. Well, maybe it can be stopped down the road somewhere. Maybe the next person, you're gonna drop this 60,000 square foot warehouse.
But that's why
Whoever's gonna drop it there.
But that's why I would invite you, I'd be happy to sit down with you and have a conversation and see if we can better learn about some of your concerns and see if there's some areas of improvement that may be able to be done.
So what do you think about property values and stuff like that?
Well,
All these things that they're dropping these, how does it affect the town property values and stuff? And
Well, I don't think-
And the town's residents that are involved in this.
I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the assessor, but the value of properties continue to be there because, you know, you already got, you know, TDC has an interest in your property as an example, but I'm not.
To what extent, I don't know.
Sure, I understand that, but we're not gonna hash out
No.
those details on the napkin tonight.
No.
But I would
No.
like to sit down with you. You and I know each other very well from Honor Flight, you
Yeah.
know, happy to have those conversations. And I
I'll do
appreciate
that.
you coming out tonight,
I will
so,
do that.
okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
Resolution 47, the abstract.
Anybody else?
Is there anyone else seeking to speak tonight? Thank you. Resolution 47, the abstract.
Resolved that the abstract of audited claims number 2B22 for $227,251.34. Abstract 2B22 prepays for the amount of $309,752.74. And audited claims number 2B-21 for $330,348.15. Abstract 2B-21 prepays for the amount of $47,574.86. Be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisor is hereby authorized to pay said abstract.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Isabella. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor please say aye. Resolution carries. Thank you. Resolution 48, monthly department reports.
Resolved to receive and place on file monthly department head reports for January. Buildings and grounds, highway superintendent, parks and recreation, water, wastewater, codes and zoning, planning and community development for February, and supervisor's financial report for January and town clerk for January.
Is there a motion?
So,
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Isabella. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor please say aye. Resolution carries. Thank you. Resolution 49, renewal of shared services agreement between the town of Plattsburgh and Ellenburg for standalone mausoleum.
Whereas Whispering Maples includes a crematory and a standalone mausoleum in the town of Ellenburg and a standalone mausoleum in the town of Plattsburgh. And whereas Plattsburgh and Ellenburg wish to enter an agreement to formalize the terms, conditions, and obligations of each town. Therefore, be it resolved that after review by the town attorney, the supervisor is duly authorized and empowered to execute the attached agreement on behalf of the town of Plattsburgh. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk, finance manager, and the town of Ellenburg supervisor.
Before I accept the motion, I just want to make one public correction is any reference to Whispering Maples should be struck because Whispering Maples is no longer an entity and the town of Plattsburgh's mausoleum is individual from Ellenburg and it's known as the town of Plattsburgh Community Mausoleum. motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Wood, any discussion?
Poskett?
All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Resolution carries, thank you. Resolution 50, request to submit an LGRMIF grant from town clerk.
Whereas the LGRMIF continues to be critically important in the diligent and careful maintenance of the historical records and information related to the town of Plattsburgh. And whereas an application to the New York State Archives Records Administration for a 2022-2023 Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund grant is available to the town. And whereas the town clerk wishes to submit an application for such grant funding to have assistance in remedying the issues of the town's archival records systems. And whereas the application for the grant is free of cost to the town, and the town is under no obligation to accept the grant if it is awarded, therefore be it resolved that the town clerk move forward with preparation and submission of the grant application for the LGRMIF grant, and be it further resolved, a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk for their file.
Is there a motion? Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Costick, is there any discussion? None. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries, thank you. Resolution 51, purchase of sodium fluoride slack chemical.
Whereas the Water and Wastewater Department has to add sodium fluoride to the water supply for health standards, therefore be it whereas, procedures for purchase of commodities, equipment, or goods and contract values requires the town to solicit price quotes for amounts in excess of $5,000. And whereas the Water and Wastewater Department requested 3 solicited price and is requesting permission to purchase sodium fluoride, therefore be it resolved, the town board approve and purchase as requested, and that the Water and Wastewater Department is hereby authorized to make incremental purchases not to exceed in the total amount of $10,000 in fiscal year 2022 from Slack Chemical, Saratoga Springs, New York. Be further resolved that payment be made payable from the 2022 water and wastewater budget account, and that a copy of this resolution be given to the Water and Wastewater Department and Budget Officer.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
Wood, any discussion?
Just make sure you change the spelling
Yep.
on that, perhaps a little bit of the wording on the first word.
Seeing nothing further, all those in favor, please say aye. Resolution carries. Resolution 52, purchase of sodium fluoride surplus chemical.
Whereas the Water and Wastewater Department has to add sodium fluoride to the water supply for health standards. Whereas procedures for purchase of commodities, equipment, or goods and contract values requires the town to solicit price quotes for the amounts in excess of $5,000. And whereas the Water and Wastewater Department requested 3 solicited prices and is requesting permission to purchase sodium fluoride. And therefore be it resolved, the town board approves the purchase as requested, and that the Water and Wastewater Department is hereby authorized to make incremental purchases not to exceed the total amount of $10,000 in the fiscal year of 2022 from Surpass Chemical, Albany, New York. Be further resolved that payment be made payable to the 2022 water and wastewater budget account, and that a copy of this resolution be given to the Water and Wastewater Department and the Budget Officer.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Costick, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Passes. Resolution 53, purchase of 2 new vehicles for codes and zoning department.
Whereas the town codes and zoning needs 2 new vehicles to replace current vehicles, and whereas the codes department has complied with New York State, the OGS procurement requirements for acquisition by the completion of the competitive mini bid process executed via the New York State Vehicle Marketplace. Therefore be it resolved to accept the following bids to purchase 2 2022 Ford F-150 XLT Super Cab 4x4 in the amount of $35,973.99 each, pursuant to the New York State Office through the General Services Standards and Purchase Group Contract. It is further resolved, the town board does hereby grant permission to purchase the above vehicles, and a copy of this resolution be given to the Codes and Zoning Department and the Finance Manager.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Isabella, any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Resolution carries, thank you. Resolution 54, public hearing for zoning permit fee schedule.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh desires to hold a public hearing with respect to zoning ordinance fee schedule. Therefore be it resolved that a public hearing be held by the town of Plattsburgh with respect in the adoption of the manufactured home park permit fee on March 10th of 2022 at 6:05 p.m. at 151 Maple Road, Plattsburgh, New York, 12901. Be further resolved that a notice of hearing on zoning fee schedule shall be published in the town official newspaper, the Press Republican, not less less than 5 days prior to that hearing. Be it further resolved that the town clerk shall post said notice to the bulletin board maintained by the town clerk pursuant to town law, section 30, part 6, and on the town of Plattsburgh website for a period not less than 5 days prior to that public hearing. And the town clerk, be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution and attachments be given to the town clerk.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Constant, is there a second?
Second.
Hebert, any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries, thank you. Resolution 55, relocation, alteration of the Sunset Drive Railroad crossing.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh is owner of a significant lakeshore property in the Cliff Haven neighborhood of Plattsburgh, west of Trout Island, which is identified in the 2016 Lake Champlain Saranac River Waterfront Plan as a key priority project. And whereas the 2016 Lake Champlain Saranac River Waterfront Plan was funded and approved by the New York State Department of State Environmental Protection Fund. And whereas the town is working in partnership with the American Legion to develop the site as the Battlefield Memorial Gateway Public Water Fund area with marine access to Trout Island, and the site is being developed in phases. And whereas a significant and important portion of the property formerly used as Plattsburgh Air Force Base fueling dock are only accessible by crossing the railroad tracks via the minimally improved crossing, number 2491009H. And whereas redesign and improvements to the crossing are necessary for the safe movement of the public to portions of the town waterfront parcel located on the east side of the track. Whereas all necessary improvements to the crossing will be designed and constructed in conformance with New York State Department of Transportation standards and the Canadian Pacific Rail standards. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh shall seek opportunities to publicly improve and extend Sunset Drive over, across, and beyond the CP rail tracks. And that the Commissioner of Transportation be duly petitioned for the necessary consent or approval for the construction and creation of the said Sunset Drive crossing. And is further resolved that if and in the event the said Sunset Drive extension and grade crossing be duly authorized to be made and constructed, that the present crossing at Sunset Drive may be closed, otherwise disposed of or managed and conducted as by the Commissioner of Transportation may be ordered.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Isabella, is there a second?
Seconded.
Hebert, and I just want to provide, with just one note of context. We have continued to, we had a public hearing, we've been actively working on this. Trevor heard from the New York DOT just wanting further information reaffirming this request. So that's really what this is. We've already, bureaucracy in government, right, Chuck?
Reaffirm the affirmation.
Yes, so that's really what this is. It's not something new, it's just, it was a request, again, asking for it, so that's why it's here, okay? I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote on this though.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Barbara Hebert,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Dana Isabella,
Yes.
and Michael Cashman.
Yes, resolution does carry, thank you very much. I do know of a need to go into an executive session tonight to talk about specific work history. Make sure I get the number right, 3 individuals, and then also to discuss the collective bargaining and negotiations per Article 14 of the Civil Service Law. Is there a motion to the effect?
So moved.
Hebert, Costick,
It was a tie.
can I get a roll call vote, please?
You're a gentleman.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Barbara Hebert,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Dana Isabella,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes, we will officially go into executive session at 6:24 PM. No action to be taken.
Thank you
See you guys. Good seeing you
Take care.
guys.
Well, good thing you seconded that. That was area 8, you know that. Just so you know.